Collective Soul, Magic in the Morning, and there's a little bit of sunshine out there. And things are brightening up. 44 temperature into the 50s today, close to 60 tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that. Mike Barrett with us. We mentioned headed into that song from Collective Soul that we talk good policies, which is learning about the insurance industry. Most of you listening are insurance agents, and it's a pretty complex industry. So again, Mike Barrett checks in remotely. Mike, happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday to you as well.
You know,
spring is kind of in the air. I'm getting pretty excited.
Well, this is our first chat in April, too.
That's right.
Yes.
Right. Love it.
Okay.
Bring it on.
We've been talking about, last week we talked about auditable insurance policies and stuff like that.
That was fun.
Yeah, my head still hurts from all I learned. But you know what we haven't done in quite a while here? Barrett Insurance Agency has been family-owned for decades here. Now you and your wife and your crew run it and own it and keep everybody's insurance needs covered. But folks might not know all of the insurance that you can provide for them. What do you think we start with that today?
That sounds good. Yeah, it's not a bad idea to give a bit of a refresher of what it is we do here. And you hit the nail on the head. We are a second-generation family-owned and operated insurance agency. My wife and I, Jennifer and I, own it. I jokingly, and I think I've said this to you numerous times, but I call her the CEO, CFO, and Human Resources Director, which leaves me very little room to move. But hey, I love it. So, we offer quite an offering here through the office. You know, we've been a property and casualty insurance agency since our inception back in the '60s when Nate Morrill started the agency, and my father took it over back in the late '80s, and then of course my wife and I took it over. Jeff, it's going to be about 6 years ago. And so when I say that we have property and casualty, what does that encompass for insurance types? Well, that means we insure homes, automobiles, motorcycles, ATVs, snowmobiles, recreational vehicles, motorhomes, campers. We also offer a great assortment of commercial offerings, which would fall into the property and casualty field. So we offer business owners policies, commercial auto policies, commercial package policies, general liability policies is what some people may know them by. We also offer workers' compensation, flood insurance. We offer bonds as well, which is a bit of a different side of what we do, but we do offer bonds for those businesses that need them. In fact, I was working on a bond this morning before I called the station. Numerous reasons for why people may need a bond, whether it be to show faith in the contract of what they're looking to do, whether it be a bid bond or a fidelity bond for covering, fraudulent activities on behalf of an employee. There are many reasons why that may come to a need for some people. But we also offer professional liability insurance. You know, that's an interesting one, Jeff, that not a lot of people know about, is professional liability insurance. And professional liability is something that even we have. You know, we're considered professionals who offer a professional service. So, you know, if in the course of our actions, if we fail in our quote-unquote professional way of doing things in terms of maybe you don't have coverage or we missed something, you could go after us and sue us, and our professional liability would cover us. Other types of industries that have professional liability would be veterinarians, certainly doctors, malpractice suits, you think of that, lawyers. There's a ton, architects and engineers and things like that. A lot of these folks have a need for professional liability. Even photographers, you think about the wedding photographer, say something happens where all the photos that were taken at your wedding are compromised and unusable. That'd be scary. Well, it's a professional service that failed to execute its contract, so that certainly could fall into the world of professional liability too. But we also offer beyond that, Jeff. We offer life insurance, we offer dental insurance, we offer disability insurance, and the list kind of goes on and on.
Well, I'd like to jump in here if I could. COVID-19 changed the entire world last year. There's no question about it, correct?
Correct.
Would be an understatement to say that it hadn't. But the reason we're mentioning this, Mike, and folks with us, Mike Barrett from Barrett Insurance Agency, restrictions are starting to loosen up, lighten up. There's a lot more public events going on, even though, they're limited attendance and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Would professional liability insurance cover, let's say somebody wants to have a spring party or sugar on snow party or something like that and bring in the bounce houses and all of that stuff? Because there's liability for that, like with trampolines and things, right?
Correct. That wouldn't fall under a professional liability so much, because that would fall under a general liability, maybe even so much as an event policy that would provide liability. So one of the interesting things that we found through the course of COVID-19 is that on policies, many policies, and I would say that you'd want to do due diligence on every single one, but all the policies that we've seen, viruses are excluded. So if your concern is that maybe somebody would catch get COVID-19 at your event, probably would be difficult to prove, but could become a litigious opportunity for somebody, and you'd want to make sure you have some protection if need be. But certainly if somebody sustains an injury on a bounce house or even on a trampoline, you want to make sure you have liability in front of you. One of the cool examples I'll give, it's completely sidestepping, Jeff, but it's a kind of an interesting example. A lot of people don't think about liability and their exposure to it. A lot of folks, when they go out and get a new car or a new-to-them car, maybe they have the old car that they're no longer going to drive anymore, but they're going to keep it, maybe try to sell it. One of the first instincts that many people have when they do that is to just remove all the coverage off of that vehicle because, well, it's not being driven by them anymore, so why do I need coverage on it? But I always ask the question, is there a chance that somebody would test drive that vehicle? Because if there is, there's still a liability exposure for you. So you really need to think about the liability exposures and how they can come back to you, because that's what the liability part of insurance is about. It's about protecting your personal assets. It's about protecting you with a front line of coverage up to whatever limit you happen to choose. So it's so crucial and key to have coverage for that.
Well, too, and if somebody has a seasonal vehicle that may sit in a garage or sit outside under a tarp or something like that, or even, like you mentioned, that vehicle that's up for sale, you'd want to have at least liability or maybe comprehensive insurance on that vehicle, right?
Oh, yeah. And for vehicles that are stored and not seeing movement, you can certainly reduce coverage on them to comprehensive only, which covers them for the perils that are most susceptible to a vehicle while parked. But you got to always have liability the second that vehicle's moving, especially if you're going on a roadway in Vermont or in many cases New Hampshire, although they don't necessarily require insurance as much as Vermont does. They do have requirements in place for numerous things, and there are many triggers that can require you to have insurance to be on the road. So all things to think about.
Mike, thanks for joining us here weekly, Tuesdays at 8:35 for Good Policies. Tell everybody how to reach out to you.
Sure. You can give us a call, 748-5224. We are located on Portland Street in St. Johnsbury. Our office does remain closed for just general walk-in traffic, but if you're knocking on the door or making appointments, guess what? We'll see you. We'd like to see you. We miss you. So feel free, if you want to transact business that way, we can do that. We are adhering to all the CDC guidelines with distancing and masks and such as well. You can find us at our website, thebarrettagency.com. Get a free home or auto quote on there, plus Google, Facebook, and YouTube. Just look for Barrett Insurance Agency.
Thank you, Mike, for Good Policies this week. We hope you and the family had a happy Easter. We'll talk with coffee again next week, okay?
Sounds like a plan. I love that idea.
Yes.
Be well, sir.
Thank you much. Of course, coffee, the number one ingredient for the Magic Morning Crew. There's Mike Barrett. We had the music now with Gloria Estefan.